A Small Place by Jamaica Kincaid is a short book about the island of Antigua, but reading the book is no vacation. As mentioned in the book synopsis, A Small Place is lyrical, sardonic, and forthright. Jamaica Kincaid's expansive essay candidly appraises the 10 by 12 mile island in the British West Indies where she grew up and makes palpable the impact of European colonization and tourism. But before we dive in and explore Miss Kincaid in A Small Place, let's first visit the island of Antigua.
Antigua is an island in the eastern Caribbean chain that is a minuscule 108 square miles. Antigua is both volcanic and sedimentary rock, primarily limestone. The limestone formation of the island makes it mostly flat, with its highest point rising to just 128 feet above sea level. Despite the flat nature of Antigua, it still features over 90 miles of coastline lined with white sand beaches, beautiful picturesque bays, and hidden coves that even mainland people can explore. Antigua has an approximate population of just over 65,000 inhabitants according to the latest census. The primary language of Antigua is Creole, based on its Creole culture. However, the official language is English. Although Antiguans speak mostly Creole, English is taught to everybody in their schools due to the ever-increasing tourist population of the island. Officially, the government in Antigua is a constitutional democracy. However, that was not always the case. Antigua experienced a period of plutocratic democracy until the late 18th century, at which point it began a period of colonial authoritarianism until it switched to constitutional democracy in the 1940s. Sugar became the main crop in Antigua in the late 1600s, and as a result, Antigua began importing slaves to the island to work in the sugarcane fields. The slave trade was quite successful until the early 1800s, until the British abolished the slave trade in 1807, which allowed for all existing slaves to be emancipated by 1834. Antigua was completely disassociated from Britain in 1981 and is still under the rule of the Prime Minister today. The economy in Antigua is service-based, with tourism and government services representing the key sources of income. Tourism accounts directly or indirectly for more than half of the country's gross domestic product. Tourism is the mainstay of the economy of Antigua and Barbuda, and is the leading sector in terms of providing employment and creating foreign exchange. To combat increasing competition from other Caribbean destinations, the government and the Antigua Hotel and Tourism Association have established a joint fund to market the country's appeal as a tourist destination. Some of these appeals are such things as white sand beaches, crystal clear waters, and beautiful oceanside resorts that dot the 90 miles of Antiguan coast. Large hotel chains such as Sandals have increasingly flocked to the Antiguan shores to stake a claim in the tourism industry. The Sandals Grand Antigua, located in St. John's, was named the world's leading honeymoon resort the last 2 years in a row. The resort staff at Grand Antigua Resort cater to your every need. I must be clear that not all of Antigua looks like the Sandals Grand Resort. The locals do not live like tourists. In fact, their living conditions are well below the poverty line. This is a result of poor availability of water and lack of employment for many native Antiguans. The focus of the government is primarily on the tourism industry, thus they seem to forget that their own people are living in poverty. Despite the majority of the native population living below the poverty line, all of the locals are proud to be Antiguans.
Jamaica Kincaid was born as Elaine Potter Richardson, May 25, 1949, in St. John's on the island of Antigua. Her mother had 3 sons, starting when Kincaid was around 9 years of age, and this marks the time when Kincaid and her mother started to lose their closeness. Although seen as quite intelligent, in her after-school hours, Kincaid served as an apprentice to a seamstress. When Kincaid was 17, a mixture of resentment towards her mother and a desire to better her education drove her to leave Antigua for New York and become a nanny while furthering her education. The island of Antigua did not gain its independence from England until 1981, so Kincaid's early life on an island under British rule has played a large role in her writing as an adult. In 1973, when Kincaid published her first piece of writing in a teen magazine, she changed her name from Elaine Potter Richardson.
I started to write about my family. Immediately, I wanted to write. I knew I would write about them. And I also thought I would fail at it, but the failing wouldn't have made me not do it, didn't make me not do it. If I changed my name, they wouldn't know I was writing about them, and if I failed at it, they wouldn't laugh at me. They wouldn't know it was me, and so they wouldn't laugh.
Soon after, she was given an opportunity to interview Gloria Steinem for a magazine called Ingenue. This is seen to be the event that set in motion her future career as a writer. She eventually found work writing at The New Yorker, and soon thereafter began publishing her own writing. Her first book, Annie John, was published in 1985 and has a strong theme of mother-daughter relationships. Many of her later works, including My Brother and A Small Place, display her feelings towards her childhood home of Antigua and its early existence under British rule.
But it's about things that I'm familiar with, and I hope a reader coming to it doesn't look for clues about anything that happened to me, but it's something about something deeper. How does a mother function in the life of her children if she has, or wants, or desires, requires a life?
Like what's found in A Small Place, Kincaid's representation of her feelings towards Antigua has brought much criticism in response to her writing. Voices from the Gaps presents one such review of A Small Place, describing the piece as a short but powerful book that can best be described as an anti-travel narrative. Others have referred to the book as too angry, or to Kincaid's tone as savage. In Where Land Meets the Body, for example, it is mentioned that much of Kincaid's anger grows out of an oppressive colonial identity. In an interview with Kincaid, Ivan Kreilkamp describes the book as a scourging meditation on tourism and colonialism, and explains the tone of the book as backing the reader into a corner. Jamaica Kincaid's responses to these critiques all seem to follow a similar pattern, such as in her interview with Kreilkamp. In this instance, Kincaid apologizes for not making her readers feel all bundled up in a warm blanket. However, in other interviews she explains, "I've come to see that I'm saying something that generally people do not want to hear. In my writing, I'm trying to explore the violations people commit upon each other. And the important thing isn't whether I'm angry. The important thing is it true? Do these things really happen? I think I'm saying something true. I'm not angry. That's not the way I think of it. The way I think of it is that I'm telling the truth."